Imagine a Tuesday morning in London this September. You open an app. A car arrives, no driver, no steering wheel, anyone is sitting behind. You get in. The car moves through London traffic. It reads the road, it makes decisions, it delivers you to your destination. Nobody in that car has told you 4 things. First, the vehicle used 4 sensor systems to scan every road it drove on, every pedestrian it passed, every building it mapped. All of that data was processed in real time by a computer in the boot. Second, that data is being sent to servers owned by a company in another country. Third, one of the companies operating driverless taxis in London this year is subject to a national law that requires it to hand that data to its government on request. No warrant, no court order, on request. Fourth, the permanent regulatory framework governing all of this will not be fully in place until the second half of 2027, a full year after the taxis are already on the road. Nobody has answered who governs the driverless taxi in your city. Let me give you the complete picture of what is actually happening in London right now. Waymo, owned by Alphabet, Google's parent company, currently operating 24 vehicles on London streets with human safety drivers, mapping roads and gathering data. 3-stage launch plan. Commercial driverless service targeting September 2026, subject to regulatory approval. London would be Waymo's first operational city outside the United States. Baidu Apollo Go, the Chinese autonomous vehicle operator. As of late July 2026, actively road testing its RT6 Robotaxi in London's Borough of Brent. 22 million cumulative rides globally. 3.2 million fully driverless rides in the first quarter of 2026 alone. 137 million driverless miles, targeting a public launch in 2027 using the Lyft platform. Uber, partnering with Baidu to deploy Apollo Go vehicles on the Uber platform in London. Wayve, a British startup testing its own AI-driven autonomous system. London has become the first city on Earth where American and Chinese robotaxi services will operate simultaneously on the same streets. Now let me be precise about what these vehicles actually do as they drive through your city. Each Waymo vehicle carries 4 sensor systems. LiDAR, laser pulses building a precise 3-dimensional map of everything within 300 meters. Vision cameras capturing every road sign, every shop front, every pedestrian, every cyclist. Radar tracking the speed and trajectory of every moving object. Microphones capturing audio from inside and around the cabin. Every second, these systems generate a continuous data stream. The position of every vehicle ahead, the movement of every pedestrian, the layout of every street. This is not abstract telemetry. It is a live, precise, continuously updated map of your city's physical activity. Waymo has confirmed that UK operations will fall under UK GDPR. That is a meaningful legal commitment. However, when asked directly whether it would publish data showing when and why human intervention is used, Waymo declined to comment. That transparency gap matters. Waymo's UK vehicles are manufactured in Europe, shipped to the United States to have the Waymo driver hardware installed, then shipped back to the UK. The supply chain for the world's most data-sensitive consumer vehicle crosses at least 3 jurisdictions before it operates on your street. Now let me turn to the question nobody in the UK transport conversation is asking clearly enough. Baidu is a Chinese company subject to Chinese law, specifically China's National Intelligence Law of 2017, which legally requires Chinese organizations to cooperate with national intelligence work when requested. An Apollo Go ride generates real-time location data, a complete journey record, and in-vehicle sensor data processed through Baidu's systems. UK GDPR governs how that data is collected from riders. But UK GDPR does not and cannot override China's legal access requirements on Baidu's end. UK GDPR cannot override it. As of July 2026, no independent security audit of Apollo Go's data practices for international deployments has been publicly published. I am not saying Baidu is doing anything wrong. I am pointing to a governance gap, a structural mismatch between the legal framework under which a company operates and the legal framework under which the city assumes it is governed. That gap exists. And it applies to Baidu in London today. The United Kingdom is doing more than almost any other country to build a responsible framework. The Automated Vehicles Act 2024 requires self-driving vehicles to demonstrate safety at least as high as a careful and competent human driver. The Act introduces data sharing obligations. International Cybersecurity Standards UNECER 155 and R156 mandate robust cybersecurity for all autonomous vehicles in the UK. Transport for London requires local consent for driverless services, and yet the permanent regulatory framework will not be fully implemented until the second half of 2027. The taxis will be operating for at least a year inside a framework that is still being written. Here is the connection almost nobody in the autonomous vehicle conversation is making. A city with Waymo at commercial scale is generating a continuous high-resolution stream of mobility intelligence. That data stream is the most valuable urban intelligence asset ever created. The only infrastructure capable of governing it on the city's own terms is a city-scale digital twin. Singapore has it, Seoul is building it, London is operating without that governance layer today. The autonomous vehicle is not the end of the smart city story. It is the trigger that makes the digital twin city essential governance infrastructure. After 20 years advising governments on infrastructure transitions, every city welcoming autonomous vehicles needs to answer 3 governance questions before the first commercial ride. Question 1: who owns the mobility data? The vehicles map how every citizen moves. That data belongs to the operating company. Under what circumstances does the city retain access? Under what circumstances can it be restricted from foreign jurisdiction requests? Question 2: what legal framework governs data when the operator is subject to a foreign government's access requirements? UK GDPR is a meaningful protection, but it governs collection, not foreign government access on the company's home end. Every city needs to understand this before licensing. Question 3: what does the city receive in return? Licensing fees, data sharing agreements, accessibility commitments, community benefit clauses. These are conditions set before permission is granted, not requests made after launch. These are not technology questions, they are sovereignty questions. The city of 2035 will not be defined by how many autonomous vehicles it has. It will be defined by how well it governs the data those vehicles generate. The cities that build their digital twins now and write the data governance frameworks on top of them will treat autonomous vehicle data as a public asset. The cities that wait will discover that the most valuable intelligence about their city belongs to someone else. If you are a city official, a transport authority, a planning institution, or an enterprise decision maker navigating autonomous vehicle governance, go to usmanzafar.com. Book a strategic advisory session directly with me. I work with governments and institutions across 4 continents on exactly these decisions. And subscribe to this channel right now. Every week, I publish strategic intelligence on smart cities, digital twins, autonomous infrastructure, and agentic AI, the governance decisions that determine which cities own their digital future and which ones discover too late that someone else does. Subscribe to @Drewsman'sOfficial and share this with someone advising a city government or transport authority right now, because the cities writing the governance frameworks for autonomous mobility today will define what every city looks like tomorrow. Visit usmanzafar.com today.com.